After saying goodbye to all of our friends, it was time to go, and we were escorted out of the main channel of Grand Cayman by Pete and Repeat on Lady Jane. Our friend Eduardo, who was from Colombia, convinced us that it was worth going to Santa Marta instead of going to San Andreas, which was our original plan. This meant we had 637 nautical miles of upwind beat, but it looked like a straight line shot with no tacking. And for the last few days, the weather forecast held.
I was personally concerned about the weather, as we were now in hurricane season. And as we set off, I noticed some very high cumulus clouds with a kind of peculiar top on them. After some research on the Cloud Appreciation Society, of which I'm a member, I found that these were a pileus cap caused by rapidly forming cumuluses, which pushes a moist layer up above the condensation level. It is apparently a pretty reliable indicator of rain. What have we got ahead?
Due to the winds, we had to tack our way down the east end of Grand Cayman. This took about 6 hours. We were eventually treated to a really nice sunset as we headed southeast towards Santa Marta.
By the following morning, the winds had picked up and things began to get crazy. Just literally out of the blue, with no real menacing clouds in sight, a terrific wind blew from nowhere. This is why there's no sailboats around. Settling 38 now. What did it get as high as?
Well, we don't know if it's real or not, but it said like 48 knots. Yeah. I recalibrated it and everything yesterday, so it's probably close.
It felt like it.
Let's just say it was way too much. Still way too much. Still at 36. Starting to settle down. I mean, it's so bizarre. We have clear skies ahead of us. High winds.
The winds kept on climbing. Then suddenly, our wind sensors stopped working. The last reading was 53.6 knots.
Just doing it the old-fashioned way.
It had been blown completely off our mast.
Are you recording? Oh my God.
All day we waited for these winds to start subsiding, but they never did. They just kept coming. We persevered in our attempts to go southeast, but had to tack, and were now travelling further north than we wanted in order to get a good wind angle. We were also sailing directly into the huge waves this wind was throwing up. It was awful. We waited for the winds to abate, but they kept coming. Eventually, we were able to tack and head south, which gave us a marginally better ride. Then Chip became seasick. Could things get worse? Well, they did. Suddenly, I smelled diesel. On investigation, 2 of our fuel containers had fallen over and one was leaking on the deck. In these high winds, Chip had to go up front and re-secure them. This is what our cabin looks like after the storm we had yesterday and last night. There's wet clothes strewn everywhere. Nothing stayed in the cupboard. I see Chips put some of it away. That's the sheet, got soaking wet as the waves crashed into the bedroom. And the shoes were all over at the other side. Just strewn everywhere. The bed mattress has just slipped off the bed. Everything is saturated there. What a mess. Well, hopefully you can hear us. We've just been through the worst day ever. I'll say it's been hell. It's been hell, but we through it. It's early in the morning. Both exhausted. I've had more sleep than Chip has, but you've been. Oh dear, he's been trying to manage the boat in all these storms because I just didn't know what to do really with all of the horrendous waves that we had, and the wind started. We had squalls, but then we had clear skies, and then we had winds that just came from nowhere, didn't they?
There was no squalls or no clouds in the sky, and this wind came out of nowhere.
Oh dear. And then Chip was seasick.
Oh. Okay, so this is beginning of day 3, around 10 o'clock today. It's about 6 in the morning now, 6:30. We went through lots of squalls yesterday afternoon, cleared them all, and got to clear blue skies, pretty much. We did with a little bit of cloud, but no squalls, no rain. Suddenly a wind hit us from out of nowhere. Severe super wind. And literally ripped the wind sensor off the top of the mast. Something else got, I can't remember what it was. Two things from this wind. And then same thing, it basically happened again last night. We went through several squalls. We had clear sailing. We were just starting to calm down. I was seeing stars all around, and then the wind hit again. And it was
squall.
Yeah, and then had a little bit of a squall after that. But and the boat was doing hull speed during the high winds. We had already taken as much sail as we can do under the conditions. Anyway, hope that helps.
Well, we survived yesterday, but we still have 520 miles left to do. We are in week 2 of hurricane season, but we are getting to a place which is below where the hurricanes generally happen. So let's keep fingers crossed for us.
I spoke to this guy on the radio asking how the sea conditions were. He says it doesn't get any better than this all the way to Santa Marta. We're only getting about 4 knots. We need to do better. But it's hard with this wave still. Want anything else, Sue?
Just about holding up, wishing we were there.
Yeah.
Are you on day 2 or day 3?
Day 3.
When we hunkered down.
As of 10 o'clock this morning, yeah.
Yeah.
Going through a small
one compared to what.
It's been growing and growing. No, it's mostly over that way. I'm going to cut to the left, leave that to go that way.
Yeah. So we've got the hydro vane up. So hopefully the hydro vane will cope these conditions.
Hydro vane's about.
Just a quick question, Chip. Are we in the Caribbean or are we in the North Sea?
Does feel like London here. Rain, wind. Not too cold though.
No.
We love our hydrovane. It does a great job steering the boat in almost any conditions. However, sargassum tends to build up on the rudder, so here I am scraping sargassum off the front of the rudder. It actually builds up to the point where the hydrovane becomes ineffective sometimes. For those of you that don't know, sargassum is a surface-growing seaweed that accumulates in large fields in acres, sometimes square miles, across the Caribbean and Atlantic Oceans. Look, there's some passing the port side right now.
This is now day 4 of the worst crossing that we've ever had. Bad weather continues. It's just raining and raining. Everything is saturated. Poor Chip is exhausted.
I'm doing fine.
You've been doing the bulk of it. Yeah. So we've been forced to motor because basically to tack away from all the coral reefs here and very shallow areas ahead. We're virtually going back on ourselves, and yeah, but also we were going into the pounding waves. It was horrendous. So we've just brought in the jib, and we are now a little bit more comfortable ride and motor. This is until we get past the reefs, and then we can sail again. Due to the awful weather conditions, we have decided to change our destination. We did consider turning back towards Jamaica, which is only 150 miles away, but it is now hurricane season, and we don't want to get stuck in Jamaica, Casey, Jamaica, and hurricane. So we have decided to go to San Andreas Island, which is about 100 miles closer, but more importantly, it's a more comfortable ride. We're not going smashing into all the waves, and it's just bang, bang, banging all yesterday, trying to get east, southeast. Anyway, I think that's the latest plan. We're trying also to get a weather forecast, because not any of this was forecasted on any of the weather models you looked at before we set off on this journey. And it's just going on and on. This is 3 days of bad weather, high winds, rain, high waves. Yeah, pretty awful.
I decided it was probably a good idea to take our party flags down before we entered Colombia.
We're fast approaching two reefs that we've got to stay in the middle of here. Northeast Breaker and it's Rosalind Bank. But today's weather is much more back to normal. Still a little bit windy, but we're getting good 6-7 knots.
Still manually steering through a large squall that's hit us on our way to San Andreas. All right. If you want to go that way a little, it's okay. It takes the pressure off.
Land ho!
We had chosen to go to San Andreas instead of Providencia based on recommendations from Navionics users, where they said it was easier to check into San Andreas.
Land ho! San Andreas. Top end of the island is Johnny Pay Island. Nearly there.
Well, had this last minute bright idea to go to Santa Marta, which is heading southeast and across from Cayman. And the initial weather forecast looks like it was a upwind beach with some reaching components like 75-25. And the morning we left, it still looking that way. By the time we got around the east end of Grand Cayman, the forecast had changed completely, where it was now going to become a hyper tacking scenario to get there. And gee, ironically, the travel time didn't seem that much more, but what we didn't realize when we decided to go for it was that the waves would be pounding us, and the squalls are really bad this time of year. So between the waves, the squalls, the rain, and everything else, we eventually, what, 2.5 days, we turned around and headed for so San Andreas. And I'm glad we did that, because it was all not downwind, but beam reach and very fast, comfortable sailing. So in addition to the squalls having high winds at the beginning and the end sometimes, we encountered a strange phenomenon clearing a line of squalls. It's been about 5 minutes, and we're thinking about putting sails back out. Blue skies all around and for the foreseeable future. All of a sudden, high winds came out of nowhere. Really, really high winds, and it ripped our wind sensor off the top of the mast, and its last reading was 53.6 knots before it went flying off into the hinterland. Actually, it hung up there by the wire for a couple of days, and it eventually vanished in the night. So we don't know where that ended up. But we should disconnect the wiring for that so it wouldn't mess with anything else.
It's been a bit traumatic looking back on it. I thought at one point we were going to die. So
She always said that.
Chip says I'm over dramatic, but I was holding on his hand and thinking, this is it. We're not going to make it any further. But anyway, our Moody saw us through and actually really coped very, very well. Apart from losing the wind sensor, there's been no other breakages. We did nearly lose our fishing rod, which is a told you so moment for Chip, because I was saying that fishing rod's gonna end up in the ocean. And he was like, no, I've tied it on. It's very secure. And eventually, no, it came detached, but luckily it fell on partly on the deck, like on the tow rail.
Luckily it was tied on secure, that's why it didn't go anywhere.
Anyway, it was tied on still, but the whole thing was hanging just barely seconds away from going to another thing in the ocean. When we got to land, we found the cause of all our woes and the bad weather. Tropical Storm Christina. We had basically caught the outer edges of this huge tropical storm that went on to cause absolute chaos and mayhem in Nicaragua and further north. Join us in our next episode when we arrive in San Andreas and are boarded by the Colombian Navy.